One thing that just came to mind after reading my friend Katie's blog in relation to addiction, which is sort of tied into this whole seeking thing that we get ourselves into. So an addiction, that's basically what all this is. I'm addicted to these concepts about me. I'm addicted to the notion of being me, really. And then all these secondary sort of addictions spring out from that and turn into behaviors that reinforce the concepts, that create emotional sort of hills and valleys, so that emotional fluctuation, all related to this core idea of a me. So I guess the whole notion of being free of addiction is what this is, in a certain sense. But more fundamentally, it's being free of the addict, the notion that there is an addict. On Katie's blog, she mentions, find the addict. Find the actual self who is the addict amidst these addictions. I haven't met one person that isn't that's seeking and that isn't, you would say, addicted in that sense. The seeking is an addiction. It's not purely fun. It's not strictly a fun thing. It has an unhealthy quality of addiction behind it, you could say. So it offers pleasure at the expense of pain, whereas what we are doesn't do that. It is inherently good without playing the opposite game, without going into the dualistic opposites, which is basically what addiction is. It's simulated aliveness from the opposites. So as she said on her blog, we'll find the addict. So let's say, I would say that I'm addicted to the computer. I would say I'm addicted to being on the computer. That's another thing she said, is to identify the manifestation of that addiction, what the behaviors are, for instance. So I'd say I'm doing an unhealthy thing on the computer. I'm on the computer too often, on Facebook too often. So then the thought is, I'm addicted to that, right? So then usually what happens is people believe that. They believe that I am addicted. I am someone who's addicted to this. So there's a separation. Me and the behavior, me and the addiction. So then, of course, the non-duality slant on this would be, okay, well, where is this addict? Where is the self who's addicted? The behaviors are going on. The thoughts are happening. The feelings are happening. But who am I at the center of this? Who's maintaining the addiction? Who am I? Who is the central addict figure around whom all this addictive stuff swirls? Because that's the real addiction. The real addiction is the notion that I'm me, the special addict. I'm me, this poor, trodden on, hard done by person who is addicted, or I'm me, the person who will be free of my addictions. So of course, in the spirit of getting to the root of all this, we can certainly look past that surface stuff and really get to the root, down under the apparent surface level of what this is, and expose the notion that I am an addict, or I am a seeker. So it's sort of like, if I take that addiction of sitting in front of the computer, it's like I can trace that back to find its source, and all I really find is aliveness, with no one at the center. And that's the freedom right there. Amidst all that addictive stuff, there's the freedom from the notion of being an addict. Even though those behaviors and patterns may continue, it's the freedom in seeing that that's not what I am. So addiction is always preserved by the notion that it's an identity mixed up in there. I'm identified in there as someone. So it's sort of, I'm getting into substance abuse treatment with people. So it's sort of borrowing from that and applying it to this investigation. So it's real simple. Anyone can see this in terms of the behavior, and what Katie also mentioned in her blog is this idea of external love. There's the seeking of love. That's the fundamental seeking. I'm a person apparently seeking love, what I imagine is as separate from what I am. So I'm seeking this love, and so then I find a drug that makes me feel what I think is love. That high, it's sort of like a simulation of that love. And another thing she mentioned in her blog is that the only true love is the internal isness, love itself, which we are. So all the addictions are a lie. They imagine that love is elsewhere, and then the whole seeking mechanism begins. So that's really what this is. It's like, well, what am I really seeking in this addiction? What is this addiction promising me? Why isn't it delivering? And who am I that it feels as though they need this stuff? So in looking back, it's, well, this love is here. It's palpable, it's actually real, and it's actually here. And it isn't separate, and it isn't other than me, and there's no need to seek it because it's here. And so that really does a number on any notion of addiction. Because, I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, and I was really seeking love. I was seeking the sense that everything is okay and that I'm in the arms of the beloved, so to speak. And I tried doing that through meditation, drugs, lovers, external lovers. She talks about the relationship addicts, people that are sort of tantalized by the notion of this other giving them what they need in terms of praise or emotional security, or whatever it may be. It takes any form. And the key thing is to identify what that form is for us, what it is for me, what it is for you right now, and see how that's tied into this identity, see what this mechanism is, and primarily see that the lover is real right now. That presence of loving awareness is here now. That's the main thing. The positive side. It's not like get rid of all the bad addictions and negate this and throw this out. See what's real first, and then see what that does to the addiction, if anything, if there's anything left. So that's simple, and I'm really glad she wrote that, because it sort of sums up a lot of what I felt for me was going on in this apparent search, and also it can be very specific, so it doesn't have to be this sort of one-size-fits-all non-duality. It can be taken on board as very intimate. It's sort of, what's my case for myself, so I can look at it for myself and not need to refer to an authority, because that's the nature of the dream. The dream creates these addictions, the dreamed seeker, and then the dream also points to its own end. So that's what the addiction is showing us, in a sense, that it doesn't have to be there, that the lover is what's here, and that addiction can just burn itself up in seeing what we are. So anyway, that's an interesting take on it, and I'm glad that people are seeing this. I'm glad people are really looking into this, because it works. If there's that dedication, you could say it works because it's not broken. So to say it works is kind of a secondary notion. It doesn't need to work because it's already the case. So what we are is in perfect working order, you would say. Anyway, that's enough out of me, and thanks a lot. And if there's any impulse to communicate or whatever, then I always answer emails pretty quickly and whatnot, but obviously the whole point is to just see this directly and not need some doofus speaking about it on YouTube. So anyway, thanks a lot and take care.